something. You are one decision away from changing your life. And you have to accept that. You're one new meeting, one new relationship, one new contact, one new action, one new decision away from shifting your life from where it is right now to a totally different place. So what's the decision? You already know. I could go backstage now. There's something you've been hesitating on. There's a contact you need to make, isn't there? There's a job you need to quit. There's a relationship you need to engage in. Maybe there's a relationship you need to leave. I don't know what it is, but I know there's a decision that you need to make to take you to the next level, just like I know that's true for me. Because decisions shape our destiny when they're backed up by some massive ass action. Okay, but you can't take the action if you don't decide. Everyone say yes. People avoid being desperate. Think of the fact they come here tonight and they're down. They're not where they want to be financially. Their relationships aren't what they want. Maybe they're in a desperate place, and you might think that's a negative thing. But when you're in a desperate place, you take the best actions. Desperation is a great place to be. Those of you that are achieving, one of the reasons the achievement is slowed down is you've allowed yourself to feel less desperate. When you were broke and starting your business, or when you were brand new in your relationship and you were desperate to get her to love you or desperate to get him to love you, you took massive big action. How many of you are moms in the room? Raise your hand. You moms, if you woke up tomorrow morning and your baby wasn't in their bed, would you be desperate right away, yes or no? Big time desperation. You wouldn't be thinking about what you need to do. You'd be acting, wouldn't you? You'd immediately make the decision. You'd take massive action. You'd search the house. You'd go into the street. Would you worry if your makeup was on right? How you looked, what people thought about you? You wouldn't, would you? Have to have the perfect plan to go find your baby that's missing. You wouldn't need any of that because you were desperate. So when you remove desperation, all this bullshit creeps into your life where you think you have to have the perfect plan and look the perfect way and have the perfect thoughts and be all zen and perfect. What you need is to be desperate. What you need is to get after it. And I want you to get desperate to make that decision. Why? Because our obsessions become our possessions. What you obsess about most regularly, you will eventually possess in your life. The challenge for most people, sisters and brothers, is that we obsess on the things we're fearful of, what we don't have, what we're worried about. And then we end up possessing those things over and over again rather than programming ourselves to become obsessed with what we want, what our dreams are, what we believe we deserve. When we become obsessed about those things, long term, we end up possessing those things. Can I get an amen for that? Yes? Yeah, most of us don't replace the external parts of our lives because those things happen naturally without thought. The external results of our life, in order to replace ourselves with the next best version, requires intention, requires obsession, requires desperation. Everyone with me on that, say yes. So it's not unnatural to change. Your friends that think you're crazy to have started your business or come to a seminar or spend money you don't have, they're the crazy ones. It's unnatural to be the same person you are right now next year. For all of you in here, the 35-year-old you should be gone next year forever, and there should be a brand new, better 36-year-old. You 20-year-olds, there should be a better 21-year-old next year. You should constantly be replacing yourself just like your bones do, just like your lungs do, just like your cells do. It's natural to be replacing ourselves, but we're around people who aren't, so we think it's natural not to. So the way that I changed my life first is I worked on my identity. Your identity is the thoughts, concepts, and beliefs that you hold to be most true about yourself. Stay with me. Here's how it works. This is how life works. I can teach you all of the mechanics of winning, but winning is about 75% psychology, about 25% mechanics. And if you can't get the psychology part right, you can do all the actions perfectly. And you've proven this to yourself several times and still not produce the results you want. Here's why. Your identity is like a thermostat setting for your entire life. So there's a thermostat in this room. It's set the room to a temperature. Let's just say it's 75 degrees. Guess what sets the temperature for the entire room? The thermostat. This is how life works too. It's not the external things that enter our lives that dictate what our life is like. In this room, if we open the door and hot air blew in here, 90 degrees of air blew in, right? What would the thermostat do? It would regulate the room, turn the air conditioner on, and cool the room back to 75 degrees. Am I right or am I right? That's what happens in your life. You have a thermostat setting for your relationships, for your faith, for your money, for your wellness, for your body, for your spirituality, for your business. And what's happened to you over and over again is you start to get you're a 75 degreer, let's say, in business, and you start to get it going, don't you? It's going better than it's ever gone before. The results are incredible. And then all of a sudden, 90 days later, you've cooled your life back down to 75 degrees again. You've had great relationships in your life, but you're 75 degree or inside. The relationship's beautiful. It's wonderful. Everything's incredible. 90 days later, you've cooled it back down to 75 degrees. In your body, you got a 75 degree identity physically, and you got in shape. You started eating good. You were working out. You're a 95 degree body. 90 days later, you cooled it back down to 75 again. This regulates everything in our life. So you can't get out over your skis. You can't exceed your identity long term. It'll never happen. This is why people's lives yo-yo up and down, because they always work on the external mechanics and not the internal identity of their lives. And this governs your happiness, your peace, your fitness, your money, all of it. I'm standing up here because I'm great at adjusting my thermostat setting. I believe in something called blissful dissatisfaction. There's a misnomer in the world that, man, for a lot of competitive people, drivers are like, hey, if I enjoy myself right now, I'm going to lose all my drive. I'm just going to delay my happiness. Number one problem in the world today is people say, I'm going to delay my happiness until a future time. Once I get that relationship, then I'll let myself be happy. Once I have the house, then I'll be happy. Once I have the car, then I'll be happy. Once I have the promotion, I'll be happy. Once I have a certain amount of money, then I'll be happy. The problem is you have to bring you to all those places. And people think if I let myself enjoy my life right now, I might lose my edge. The athletes I coach think that all the time. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, if you don't enjoy the victories as you go, your brain doesn't produce any dopamine, and you actually lose the desire to continue to perform. There's a direct correlation between celebrating your wins and wanting to do more of them. See, when I was broke, and I was broke longer than I've been rich, you know what I'd always do when I walk into a store? I'd never get what I wanted. I'd always check the price tag. What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? And when you're always looking at what it costs, you never get what you want. And a lot of us do that in our lives. Every day we're repeating to ourselves, what's this costing me? The sacrifice I'm going, I don't know if I can go through anymore. And you lose what you want. You got to quit negotiating the price. Right now, make the decision that any price is worth it as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral for you to make your family proud of you, for you to make your dream happen. Stop negotiating the price. This negotiation you keep doing in your mind. Is this really where I'm supposed to be? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Steals all your energy. It steals your focus. But those of you that get laser focused, that become totally immersed in your dream, that know those babies of yours, your parents, guess what? They're worth the sacrifice. Probably when you were a little one, I got 3 minutes, guys. Probably when you were a little boy or a little girl. Here's what I'll bet. There was somebody in your life at some point, I pray, that made you feel special. Maybe one. Maybe they've even passed away. Maybe it was a grandma or a grandpa or a parent. I just got chills. Or a coach or somebody that they made you feel special. Mine was my papa. I'm named after him. I'm Edward III. We'd ride in his van on Sundays to go get donuts, and I'd sit there, and he'd just look at me and goes, Eddie, you're the special one. And I look at him, I say, I am, Papa. He goes, you're my favorite grandson. He had 15 grandkids. He'd always tell me, you're my favorite. He probably told all of them, but I get chills right now. He made me feel special. Can you remember that person in your life and how they made you feel when you were a little boy or a little girl? You just felt something with them, didn't you? Man, I was born for a reason. I'm special. I'm supposed to be somebody. I'm supposed to make a difference in my life. Let me tell you something. Whoever that person was, if you were blessed to have them, listen, they were right about you. And maybe over the time of your life and your childhood and grade school and you get into the world and business doesn't work and a relationship and you forget. But I'm here to remind you tonight they were right. And what you're really after is that feeling. What you're really after is the way they made you feel is living up to it. Because at the end of our lives, I don't know whether or not you're going to live, but I know for sure you're going to die. And I don't know whether or not you're going to live before you die. Most of us are not living because we're so worried about what everybody thinks about us, or maybe what we don't feel about ourselves. Let me say something to you real clear. If you spend the rest of your life worrying about what everybody thinks about you, someday you'll never have to worry about it again, because when you die, nobody will remember you were here. Stop worrying about what these people think about you. Live your dream. Worry about the people you love. And by the way, I know some of the very people you're doing it for are the ones not supporting you. They're the ones telling you to quit. They're the ones giving you heck. Just do it anyway. I have this theory that someday when I die, and as a Christian I believe I get to meet the Lord. I don't care if you believe it's energy, Allah, I don't care. But I have this belief that when I die, He'll say, well done, good and faithful servant. But here's what I think happens. I think He introduces me to the man I was born to be. The destiny version of me. I think you get introduced to that woman someday. This is who I made you to be. This is who you could have been, man. These are the experiences, the people you could have helped, the contribution, the moments, the memory, the magic, the way you could feel about yourself. Meet him, meet her. This is who you were born to be. To me, heaven, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if it's energy or a place you go, but heaven to me is when I meet that man, we're identical twins. I did it all. And he goes, man, I've been watching you. And I go, brother, I've been chasing you all my life. He goes, you caught me. I watched you. I'm so proud of you. You did it all, right? Hell would be meeting that person someday and you're total strangers with them. I don't want you to have that happen at the end of your life, where all these things you were capable of, all the possibilities, all the moments, all the travel, all the trips, all the help, all the contribution, none of it happens because you won't fight for your family. You won't get obsessed for what you want. You won't transfer energy to people. You won't stop negotiating the price. You won't program your reticular activating system. You won't work on your identity. All that's on the line is your dadgum life. That's all, just your life. That's all we're talking about here is just you, your precious soul, who's enough, who's got greatness in them, who can do whatever he or she ever dreamed of. If they'll just start believing it, if they'll start taking massive action, you were born to do something great with your life. You were born to do something magic in small ways, in big ways, in quiet ways. Maybe it's not going to be millions of dollars. Maybe it's going to be one person you inspire with your story, what you overcome. One kind word, one message, one moment with one person can change the world. And I know you're capable of it. And whoever made you feel special, and if there was nobody like that in your life, I apply for the position. If you're with me daily in my podcast, in my media, in my social media, I apply for the position to believe in you because I know how great you are. I know what you're capable of. I know this, your dream's going to be tattered all the time. Sometimes you just got to hold it together with hope. Sometimes you got to hold it together with a little Velcro, right? I don't know what you got to hold it together with, but here's what I know about you last. Listen to me. You were born to do something special with your life. You're not invisible. You're loved. You're cared for, you're cherished, you're believed in. You came here with a purpose. I don't say that to inspire you. I try to give you some tools to help you. I've got hundreds of other tools I can help you with if you follow my stuff. I'm existing in the world for the next 50 years just to serve people, just to help you, just to hopefully contribute to your life, to be a tough guy and tell you to fight, but to be your biggest advocate and your biggest believer as well.